I'm Anna, and today I'm going to be building a little wildflower cottage using only the Sims 4 base game and the Cottage Living expansion pack. I got the idea for this house basically because I wanted to put grass and flowers on a roof, and I didn't know if that was possible, but turns out it is, and I was super excited about it. So I started out with the idea of wanting to have a garden on the roof, and then I kind of looked for inspiration for the actual house part of it around that. So I found this little cottage on Pinterest that I really like, and I'll link to in the description. It's so cute. I was also really inspired by Sunny Simsy's Rose Cottage, which is a beautiful build. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm gonna put that in the description as well because everyone deserves to see it. I tried to keep the house pretty small because I think that's part of its charm. It was pretty hard though. I kept catching myself making it slightly bigger and then slightly bigger, and I'd have to like go back and like make it smaller again. And when I was thinking of like how I wanted to do the front, I was struggling quite a bit. I ended up cutting out a lot of the footage because it was just a lot of trial and error that didn't quite make it into the final version of the house. But I really do like that archway that is right in front of the door. I think it is a nice way to tie in the outside to the inside of the cottage. When I was building this, I also didn't realize that you could do like a top-down view of the house by hitting the T key. So I was struggling a little bit to like get those chimneys centered, but I think it worked out pretty well. I love basically all of Cottage Living's build tools and items. I have like been really wanting textures that feel aged and lived in, and I think it does a really nice job of that. It was really hard to actually pick what I wanted to include or not because so many of the walls and tiles and all of that were just gorgeous. When I was thinking about what I wanted to call this house, I originally went with the Green Witch Cottage because I like to imagine that some sort of earthy, witchy person lived here and like collected flowers and just really enjoyed having like a little farm and some animals. But I don't dislike the name, but I ended up wanting to make it more like inclusive of anybody who wanted to live in a cottage completely covered in plants. So I ended up going with Wildflower Cottage. I also really like the like world that comes with Cottage Living. I think it's a Henford and Bagley. I should have written that down, but I think all the lots are super pretty. There was originally another house built on this lot, and I deleted it so that I could build here instead, because there's like a really cute area with some old cars, and I love the trees in the background. I kept the two older gentlemen who lived here, so I can't remember if they made it into like the final pictures or not, but they are also very cute. So putting all these plants on the roof was tedious, as you can imagine, but it was very like meditative. Not quite sure how to get everything to like lay naturally on the curved surface of the roof. I know there's like mods you can get where you can rotate items in space, but I am honestly intimidated by that, and I didn't want to take that step. So I ended up doing slightly different heights, going down and making the grass overlap a bit so it looked a little bit more natural and full. I think this really started to come together when I added the white flowers. I remember until that point I was laying so many pieces of grass and just I kept thinking, like, is this even good? Like, is this gonna work? And I think it did. Yeah, the flowers really bring it together. And I tried to bring all the flowers that were on the roof onto the lawn in front so that they tied in together. When I was placing the flowers, I was also trying to like clump similar flowers together. I've been trying to grow like a wildflower garden at my house, and what ends up naturally happening is after year, the flowers self-seed, so you end up with kind of different groupings of flowers. So I tried to replicate that as best as I could as I was building. And now we're coming to the inside of the house. I hadn't really thought about what I wanted to do for the floor plan. So there is some trial and error here too. I wanted to keep the fireplaces aligned with the chimneys because sometimes I just like to put the fireplaces wherever I think they look best and not necessarily where they make sense. So that was a bit of a challenge for me. It's my first time doing a chimney like this before. Usually I just relied on the chimneys that came with the game. I didn't realize you could make like a casing for them. Gosh, I love these windows too. Like all the cross hatching is very charming to me. The back of the house I didn't really have a plan for, so that was again a lot of trial and error, but I think it finally came together. Again, it was a real struggle to keep things small. I think if I were to do this build again, I would try to be a little bit more careful with where I put all the plants on the front of the house and the side, because you can see it when you're playing. Like you can kind of see the grass floating in midair, which is a little bit annoying. I've play tested it a bit and it's not like in the way, but it definitely would be less distracting if it wasn't there. I had every intention of making this a two-person sim house, and I added a double bed. I didn't add enough room for another person to get in, so that was an oversight on my part. So if you do use this for your own game, you might have to move that bed a little bit so someone else can get in it. In my mind, I was just like, yeah, someone could crawl over to the other side, like the wall side. That's where I like to sleep. It didn't even occur to me that you can't play like that. So, my apologies. I like the little kind of wardrobe dressing area of the bedroom though. I think that's really cute. And like the little study space and the fireplace. I just imagine like, I don't know, like Pride and Prejudice or something, like some person like just writing a letter to their long lost love at that desk with the fire going in the background. I think it's very dreamy. I love adding curtains and plants. I feel like they make the biggest difference as far as making a space feel alive. I'm also really loving lately putting books on the bottom shelf of end tables and then taking like a little lawn ornament or statue and just sizing it down really small to make it a bookend. I've been doing that in like every single one of my builds lately. I like building with only certain expansion packs at a time or like stuff kits, because otherwise I feel like I lose, or I like don't even see a lot of the cool items that exist. Like, I think this is in the base game, but the fire pokers, no idea that they existed, and they're so perfect. Hallways are also a new thing for me, which sounds really silly, but for whatever reason, I recently realized that you can build hallways. I don't know why, because every single house I've ever lived in has at least one hallway. It's just, I don't know, for whatever reason, my brain separated Sims houses from like real life houses. So it sounds very silly, but I'm really proud of this hallway. I think it's so cute. I also love to have windows in my bathrooms. I know some people will really not like that, I'm sure, but I love the natural light. I think it just feels so rejuvenating, and I mean, this house is in the middle of nowhere. No one's gonna look in the windows. No one would look in the windows anyway. I used to knock windows in bathrooms, and then the house I currently live in has a window in the bathroom. It's pretty high up, but I'm never going back if I can help it. Granted, like, building in real life is very different than building in The Sims. You can't just add a window. I really wanted to do like a built-in bench seating for the dining table, but it didn't quite work out the way I wanted to. I don't even know if like Sims would sit on like a bench with it next to a table. I think it would just be for the aesthetic. I don't think it would actually be functional. I love the old like stove and oven there. I think it's so cute, and I love the little logs that are underneath. I should have looked and seen if there was like any stacks of logs that I could have put next to any of the fireplaces. I think that would have been a really nice touch. I also love these cabinets in Cottage Living. Like the automatic corner cabinet has so many cool knickknacks and jars, and I think there's a plant on there. I think it's so cute. And the countertops are super cute. I love all of the colors that you can choose from, and like the butcher block on top. I think the base game has some butcher block countertops, but they're more industrial and definitely not cottagey, which is what I am going for, obviously. But I just love all the little knickknacks too, like all the jars and the flowers. Cottage Living is like the Sims expansion pack that I've been dreaming about my entire life, and I never expected it to be a thing. So I was so excited when I heard it was coming out, and I know it's been out for a while now, but I'm still not over it. Like, I have been dreaming for the day that I can have a llama and some chickens and rabbits. I added like a little, I think a rabbit tree stump outside so that there would be so many rabbits outside. And I think that was a really good call. Admittedly, when I was taking the videos of the house, I shift clicked and created rabbits because I didn't want to wait for them to show up. And that's maybe a new favorite hobby of mine too, is just spawning rabbits into creation. There's nothing that feels better than having an infinite number of rabbits at my disposal. I just want to live here so badly. I love the living room, I think. I just want to read books here. I wish maybe I had taken footage of the house at different seasons. I think that would be too much to put in a video, but I can see this being really cute in the winter too, even though you can't see the wildflowers or the plants. I just feel like the inside is so cozy with the fireplaces and the plants that are inside. I think most of these plants, or all of them, are from the base game. I don't know if Cottage Living came with a lot of new plants. Like, it came with the wisteria. But other than that, I can't think of any. Like, there's some house plants that are in the game, but not too many actually. And going back to putting plants on the roof, I got a little tired out at the beginning. I had to do it in stages because it was so repetitive. I was starting to, I don't know, see grass everywhere I was looking, and something needed to change. But taking breaks, it made it be fun almost the entire time because I didn't quite get sick of it. I think one pro tip for anything is, like, stop doing something before it becomes boring or annoying so that you're, like, excited to do it again, or you're at least, like, not dreading doing something. I tried to do that with this. I love the, like, hay roofs too. I've been trying to add more trees and stuff to my builds to, like, make it blend into the landscape a little bit more. I wish I could hover over the trees that already exist so I could know what type of tree they are before, like, having to test each one out to see if it matches. But I really like doing the terrain tools around the house and around the trees. I think it adds just a little detail that makes it feel more, everything feel more integrated into the landscape and more blended together. So my process for the wildflower garden was to place all the grass first and use that almost like an outline for knowing where to put the flowers, so I could get, like, a general shape and an idea before I started placing everything. I used to be a florist for a while, and you use a similar strategy when you're making bouquets or arrangements. You usually put the greenery in first because it gives it structure, and then like when you add the flowers, it actually ends up looking more full because the greenery shapes it and fills in some of the gaps. I didn't realize that before I started working at a flower shop. I thought the key to a good garden or bouquet was as many flowers as possible, which, don't get me wrong, in an ideal world, it would be 100% flowers and like maybe a little bit of greenery, but I think I've come to appreciate that you need greenery to make everything else look better. And I wanted to add a little gardening space in the back. I tried to use some terrain tools to get it to blend nicely. For whatever reason, when I like finalized the build and like actually started playing, my garden beds weren't there, so I don't know what happened to those. Maybe I just didn't save at the end. But there's plenty of room to have like a hobby farm in the back or a pasture maybe. If I was playing on this lot, I definitely would get a barn so I could have some cows and some llamas. I would get a chicken coop. I would have all of the animals. I actually did try to put in a barn, but I didn't like that I couldn't get it to match the house exactly. And I didn't want to figure out how I would do that. But here I am just putting the final touches on, bringing some of that wildflower garden from the front and the roof down to the back of the house to make everything feel cohesive. And this is the final product. I really like how this turned out. Thank you for watching. If this was something that you enjoyed, please take a moment to like and subscribe so that I know what you like and I can make more videos like this. I hope you have a good rest of your day and week, and stay safe.